Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Have you felt it lately? You know, that kind of low-grade hum of anxiety in the background? The feeling that the world is a little less stable, a little more unpredictable? Well, you're not imagining it. It really does feel like we're living in a new age of anxiety. And today, we're going to get into why that is, and more importantly, what we can actually do about it.
You know, the philosopher Eric Fromm totally nailed this decades ago. He said a real struggle today isn't just about having enough stuff. It's about feeling like a tiny, meaningless cog in some giant machine. This quote just gets right to the heart of it. We're wired to search for meaning, and when our lives feel empty of it, we really, really struggle.
And that struggle is absolutely everywhere you look. I mean, think about it. The pandemic, climate change, the explosion of AI, and all the political division, it's like everything has been thrown into this constant state of flux. It's no wonder so many of us feel worried when it seems like even the basic facts about what's going on are up for debate.
But here's the thing. This isn't just a vague feeling in the air. Nope. It's a real, measurable, global thing. In fact, economists have actually figured out a way to put a number on just how uncertain the world really is.
Just look at this chart. This is the World Uncertainty Index. You can see it spiked after the 9/11 attacks. It went up again during the Eurozone crisis, but then in 2020, with a pandemic, it just went through the roof. It hit the highest point ever recorded. We're talking nearly double the uncertainty level of 9/11. The data is clear. We are living in incredibly uncertain times.
So why does a number on a chart matter so much to us, personally? Well, it's because deep down, our brains just can't stand it when things don't make sense. We are fundamentally wired to need order and predictability. When the world stops feeling stable, we feel like we've lost control, and that leaves us feeling pretty helpless and, you guessed it, really worried.
And this gets us to something so crucial about how our minds work. Our brains aren't just passively taking in information. Not at all. They are active, relentless, 24/7 meaning-making machines. They are constantly trying to connect the dots and make sense of everything.
And the way we do this is with something called meaning frameworks. Just think of them as the mental rule books or the glasses we wear that shape how we see the world. They're the models we use to understand what's happening right now and to guess what's going to happen next. Want to see just how powerful these frameworks are? Okay, let's take one single event, the COVID-19 pandemic. For someone with framework A, it was basically just the flu, a total nothing burger. But for someone with framework B, it was the worst public health crisis in 100 years. See? Same event, but two completely different realities, all because of the mental framework they were using to interpret it.
This is pretty much what the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche was getting at with his famous line. We don't just see the world, we interpret it. And our meaning frameworks are the engines of that interpretation. So what happens when those frameworks, the very things we rely on to make sense of everything, suddenly break? Well, this is where things get unsettling. When our trusted mental models just stop working, when reality doesn't fit into the neat little boxes we've made for it, we get this profound, dizzying sense of disorientation. Sigmund Freud actually had a name for this, the uncanny. It's that specific kind of creepy feeling you get when something is almost familiar, but something about it is just off, and it makes your whole sense of reality feel a little shaky. You know a perfect example of this? The movie The Polar Express. The characters look so close to human, but not quite. Their eyes are a little glassy, their movements a little stiff, and that almost is what makes them so creepy. Our brain's framework for that's a human face gets violated, and it freaks us out. Psychologists showed this in a brilliant experiment. They briefly showed people playing cards that were doctored, like a red six of spades. At first, people's brains just couldn't process it. They would confidently say they saw a normal six of hearts or a black six of spades. Their minds were literally faking it, forcing the weird card into a familiar box to protect their sense of order. But as they were shown the weird card over and over, that defense mechanism started to crumble. People got anxious, they got confused, and this quote from one of them, it just captures that moment of total breakdown. It's the sound of pure panic when you realize your basic understanding of reality, even something as simple as a playing card, has just collapsed.
So, that moment of collapse forces a choice. When our frameworks fail, we're standing at a fork in the road. We can either try to keep cramming reality into our old, broken models, or we can build new ones.
The psychologist Jean Piaget called these two paths assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation is faking meaning. It's trying to force a new thing into an old box. Imagine a little kid at their first graduation. They see cake, so they think, oh, it's like a birthday party. That's a quick, temporary fix. But accommodation, that's making meaning. That's building a totally new box. The child learns what graduation actually is. One is a patch, the other is real learning, real growth.
And this isn't just an individual thing. The philosopher Thomas Kuhn showed that this is how all of human progress works. For centuries, our framework was normal science. The Earth is the center of the universe. But then, anomalies, observations that just didn't fit, started piling up. This led to a crisis. The old model collapsed, and boom, a revolution. A whole new framework emerged. The sun is at the center. Making new meaning is literally how we, as a species, move forward. Okay, so this all leads to the big question. How can we get better at making meaning in our own lives, especially right now, in this crazy age of anxiety? Well, luckily, psychology and philosophy actually give us a pretty practical toolkit to help us navigate this search. Here are 4 really powerful tools. First, write your story. Research shows that taking chaotic, difficult experiences and shaping them into a story with a beginning, middle, and end helps our brains process them and find order. Second, get out in nature. When you experience awe, that feeling of being next to an ocean or a huge mountain, it kind of shrinks your own problems and connects you to something bigger. Third, take a leap of faith. The philosopher Kierkegaard said that some truths can't be reached by logic alone. Sometimes you have to embrace what feels deeply and personally true for you. And finally, rewrite your narrative. You can see your life's challenges as a story where good things always get ruined, or you can choose to see it as a redemption story, where you overcome hardship and come out stronger.
Because in the end, our lives are the stories that we tell ourselves about them. And when we're faced with all this uncertainty, we have a choice. Are we going to keep trying to jam our experiences into old, broken frameworks, just faking a sense of meaning to get by? Or are we going to be brave enough to build new ones, to actually learn, to grow, and to make a meaningful life? The choice is always yours.